G'day guys, welcome back. So, I'm still waiting on a few parts to finish off that Spectre Video 728, and they should be in any time now, I am hoping. They're in the country anyway, so hopefully even today. So, I've got something a little bit different for us to have a look at that I was sent up by somebody I'm going to meet in a couple of weeks. So, grab yourself a drink, some snacks if you want to, and that can't be chat. And let's get on with it. Hi guys, welcome back. And as I said in the intro, I haven't got the parts to finish off the 728, so I'm going to look at another job that came in from a chappie down south, and I'm going to be down there in a couple of weeks for my daughter's birthday. So he sent it up for me and said if I could have a look at it, because he's not 100% confident in having a look at power supplies. And I said, yeah, that's fine. Send it up. I'll have a look at it, and if I get it going, I'll bring it back down with me, and we'll have a coffee and give it back to him. So, what I have here is an Apple IIe power supply, and apparently when it was plugged in, not attached to the machine, but when it was plugged in and turned on, it blew the fuse straight away. So, what we're going to do is have a look at this. I've popped the fuse out, I've undone the screws out of the sides of this, and going to have a look and see what's going on. It's not reefers, as far as I know, so it's going to be something else wrong with this. Okay guys, so we'll get on to this, and I'll just put you into focus a little bit more. This overhead one's just out of focus slightly. There, there we go. No, not quite. Alright, so there we go. Now you're back in focus. Alright, so I've undone the screws as I've said, and what I've done is I've just popped the screws back into the sides so I don't lose them. And as I was saying, he was sent a whole pile of caps to recap this, and looking at the caps, I think they're pretty much okay. That one there may feel a little rounded, but all the others look pretty much okay. There are no reefers in this. Where the reefers usually are is here and here, and these have had polymers put in, so they can go faulty, but tend to not. But this is the fuse, and as you can, you might be able to see from that how it looks very black, and that's because it's blowing. It's totally gone. So what we can do is to plug this in, put another fuse in it, plug this in and put it on the limiter on the light bulb tester, and that will tell us if there's a dead short in this, because instead of blowing a fuse, it will light the light bulb up very, very brightly. But I think maybe to start with, I will pop this out and check the transistors, the diodes and that sort of thing first, rather than putting in another fuse and blowing it straight away. I think that will be a better way of doing it for now. Things like testing, make sure there's not a short in the switch or stuff like that. I think that's probably a best thing to do to start with. So I'll need to get a nut driver to take this out and undo these little nuts, and we'll carry on from there. I'll get this out and we will have a look at it. Alright, see you in a sec. Right, and this is what I'm saying, you need to look at buying these little tool sets, and this is one for doing cell phones and that, and it has the screwdriver, pliers and flexible ends and that, and has all the bits, and it also has all the little nut drivers and that in it too. So get yourself one of these little kits. They're not that dear, and I think this one was off Temu, and it was part of a specials that I got, and I think it was a freebie, this one. So yeah, but anyway, and hopefully this has got a small enough, or a big enough, sorry, nut driver to go over that. What would you think of it? It's just a fraction too small. So it must be a 6mm nut. And it is. Okay. It didn't come to the rescue that time, guys. But So as you can see, it has all these. It's got spudges and all sorts of things for opening things up and that in it. And the other side here, more spudges and connectors, and it's got the sucker for doing the screens. It's got the sucker for doing your LCD screens. It's got all the other bits and pieces in it. Different connectors, flexible connectors, all sorts of bits and pieces in it. So yeah, it's a good little toolkit. Yeah, want to look at getting something like that. It has all the different bits for you for undoing stuff. So yeah, worthwhile getting it. I'm going to have to get me other little socket set to get a socket to fit that, because 6mm, and that only goes, and this kit only goes to 5.5. Right, so I will be back shortly. Okay, so I've got my other little toolkit here, as you can see, and I'm just going to make sure I've got the right size socket. That's a 7. That's the one. Right, so that's all we need. So that's just a little socket set that I've had for years and years. You can get them, and you can get them in the screwdriver type now, rather than this. This is just handy because it has a little angle head that can go back and forwards, and also it comes with a little wee wrench as well. But most of the more common ones come with like a screwdriver end now and a bit that goes in there, so you can pop the sockets into them. Into the end of that and undo them. But I find this is better. I like it because I get a bit more torque on it, and some of these bolts are a little bit tight to get out. And yeah, if you're wondering, guys, I'm wearing my jersey because we're a week away from going into winter, or a week or two away from going into winter, and it is a little bit wet and cold here today, so that is why I am wearing my my jersey at the moment. So it's not too cold in here, but there tends to get a little bit of a chill every now and then through from the windows. I should get myself a container to put all these in too. Just grab one from up the top. I can put all these nuts in it so I don't lose them. And some of these nuts, they have that a lock thread on them too, which can make it a little hard to get them out at times. So what we'll do is, once we get this out, I'll just do continuity checks just to make sure there's no dead shorts across the power supply and things like that. If there's an issue with this transformer or that, then or this one, there's not a lot I can do with it. But if it's just a transistor or something like that, I should be able to fix that. I may have one kicking around, a second, well, not a second hand, but a pull or a new old stock in the boxes of bits that I have. I'll just have to check the model numbers first to make sure that it's the same one, or if not, I will see if there's an equivalent for it. Alright, so those are all off. It's just that gland to get off. The problem with these is you need to take this out of the aluminium case, or you're not going to get the board out. You're not going to get the board out to tip it over to check it. You don't need to pull everything out of these. You can generally get away with just undoing this, taking the gland off here, and then it will come up and flip over. But if you need to, it's just a nut down here to undo for the earth, and you can unplug the connectors off the switch, and then this whole board will come out. So I mean, that's another way to do it rather than pulling this gland off. There is a tool for doing those, that if you want to, you can get one, and that just squeezes it in so you can pop it out through the end. You can sometimes do it with a pair of long nose pliers, put them on there, squeeze it in, and it will pop forward. And that might be another thing to do. But I think it'll be probably just as easy to undo the nut on here and pop these off. And blue's on one side, brown's on the other. It doesn't really matter which way round they are, as long as one pair are on one side and one pair are on the other side. So I might do that. I think it'll just make my life a little bit easier than trying to pop this out. And if I need to, then I can look at taking that out later. Nice thing is with a lot of these sort of power supplies, everything tends to be the same size. So all your nuts and everything tend to be the same size. So these are all 6mm, which is good. Which I'm sorry for you guys that are in the countries that still have Imperial. I can't tell you what that is. I used to know years ago, but I don't know now. It's coming off. The only thing I don't like with these aluminium cases when they put these earth binding posts on is that it's like a rivet that they've put through here, and it's nailed on the end so it bites into this aluminium, and they can strip sometimes and they'll end up turning round and you can't get them off. But this one's behaving itself, so which is good. Put that off, I'll put those on here, back on here, because we don't want to lose them. Okay, it's got that on there, and what I will do is I'll just mark one side with a pen so I know what side's got which ones on it. So I'll put a silver mark on these two blue ones, and I'll put a silver mark on the side of the switch. And so what I've done there is, you might be able to see, I've just put a couple of silver marks down the end here, down the ends of the switch down here, and I put it on the sides of the connectors as well. And that's just so I remember which side goes where. Just pop those off. Do the same on this other side. That one's a little tricky because he's underneath. No, that one's off. So now what that is now that's all loose, this whole thing should be able to come up and pop out. I will just move this stuff and I will put these in here for now, somewhere safe. Okay, and now we'll pop this out. So that is going to be an issue. Get it past there. So I am going to have to pop that gland off. Okay guys, so I've got it off. Used a pair of these slip jaws. That's what we call them here. And it's just a matter of, you get it behind here and you squeeze this in, wiggle around and it will actually pop the little catches either side out the other end. Or you could use long nose pliers, medium nose pliers, something like those, just to get in there to squeeze it and pop it out. So that's all undone now, so this should be able to come up and out. Just getting it past these nuts. That from there and from there. So we've got that out. And it's because this power switch, the way it clips in here and it sits so far over the board. And if I need to power this on, I can just put a jumper across those anyway. But right now we got this out. No, that cap looks okay. I mean, we can check the capacitors anyway. We can just pop them out and test them to make sure. But yeah, I think we should test diodes, the bridge rectifier, the transistor, these diodes down the end here, another rectifier or transistor down the end there. We have some transistors and diodes down the sides here. So I think go through and check all that and see if there's anything going on here that needs to be looked at. So I think I'll start with the bridge rectifier first. Seems to be okay. Could be an issue with the bridge rectifier. That's our AC in, and it's not picking much up through that. It's only as if like one side of the bridge is working. That side's working there. If I switch that around for the opposite polarity, yeah, I'm getting that both ways, so I think there's an issue with that bridge rectifier. I think we need to pull that out to double check that and see what the problem is. Right, as you saw me there too, I was coming in and then bending up. What they did with a lot of this early stuff is they bent the legs over when they soldered them, which made it easier for them putting it in. But the thing is you've got to heat it up to bend the leg up, or otherwise you'll tear the pad off. So I'm pretty sure that's desoldered. Just got to get something to wiggle it out with. There we go. Pop that out. Some horrible glue down the bottom that one of the legs went through. To pick some of that out of the way. I don't like that around it. It just makes it harder putting the next one in. It hasn't gone hard. It's still quite soft. So, not too bad. I just want to clean it away. Just so it's not going to be in our way. Okay. So that's our rectifier. And as I said, the two short pins I was going over are these two, which are AC. So they should work either way around, but I was only getting one connection on one side. So just double one diode on one side, I should say. Double check this. No, there's something. Definitely looks like it's a dud rectifier. So have a look at that and see what it is. And I'm bound to have something very close, or that might be even a bit higher than what I need to go in there. So I will check out what I have in my bridge rectifiers and we will replace that. Alrighty, back shortly. Right guys, so this is 1000 volts 2 amp bridge rectifier. I don't have any. The only ones I could find at this stage that will physically fit on here were only 80 volts AC at 2 amps or 3 amps, but the voltage is too small. I had a look at a couple of old ATX power supplies I've got. The legs were far too big for it, and they were overkill. They were like 6 amps, way too much. So what I did is I grabbed some 1N5806s, which are 3 amp 600 volt diodes, and I made a bridge up and I've stuck that in here because the legs were the right size. It's an amp more than it needs, but better on the era of judgment there for giving it a little bit more than it needs, just in case that's why one of the channels on this is gone, one of the sides of the bridge rectifier. I've checked the transistor, seems to be okay. Now I don't know if one of these are. I tried testing these diodes, but they give me signal both ways. They as if they are open, but that could be the capacitors or the transformer. That could be giving me that reading. Other than lifting these out, and the problem with these is they're mounted on heat sinks, so it's a big pain in the neck to pull these out, to test them. So I mean, I could probably pull. The only problem is these other ones are in between each other and they're hard to get to. I'm just wondering whether I should pop a fuse in here and plug it into the test rig on the bench with the light bulb to make sure that it doesn't have another short on it. I don't seem to see a short between ground and earth, so I don't think it's going to go bang. So I think that's what I'll do. I will pop it back up on here, put the board back in, put on the switch connectors and the earth, I think, and I'll just plug it into the current limiter on the desktop, and I'll put the camera on so you guys can see what I'm doing. So I'll put all this back together and give a yelp. I have got some of these coming in. I've actually got a range of different rectifiers coming in. I didn't realise I didn't have any. The other problem is I shot over the road, or down the road to Jaycar to get some, and they didn't have any at all. And I was talking to the chap there, and I said, well, they're a common part, you know, even if you had something higher rated. And he says, no, he says, all the components they carry like this, transistors, diodes and stuff, they've been told to sell them and get rid of them and not to restock them. So, unfortunately, over here in New Zealand, well, in my part of New Zealand, in the North Island, Jaycar is getting rid of all their components, and it looks like they're heading into like a PB Tech Dick Smith style of thing, where they went kit set and board replacement component only type of thing, and they're getting away from discrete stuff. So just a heads up, guys, you may want to check on that yourselves to see if your local stores, if that's all you have around, if that's the case with them, or it might be just our store that's that's going to close down and they're just going to go to one in the main city. Don't know. Alright guys, so anyway, I will put all this back in and I'll be back to you shortly. Okay, so I've got that all set up. I've just put another fuse in. This is my box of different size fuses. So I've got a 2 amp fuse in here, which is what it's meant to have. I'll just move this stuff out of the way so it's not going to short on anything. Now this is I was given a bag of caps to recap this board. I don't think it needs it. They look all okay. Generally these earlier model caps back in the day were really good quality. You didn't need to replace them unless they're bulging or leaking, and these look okay. So I'll leave these as they are. If I need to, I'll recap it, but no sense in doing it if it doesn't need it. So this is all in here okay. I haven't popped the gland back in just in case I do need to pull this board out. One of the connectors on this side was a earthing link, so I put that one in. The other 3 I haven't. So I'm just having a look on the very end here. It actually tells us the voltages on the pins, and so what I'll do is I'll pull up one of these is going to be 3 is going to be +5. Which way around does that go? It could be either way round as this goes on. So one is common and one is ground. I wonder if it's those 2 black ones is common and ground. I would say so. So those 2 there is 1 and 2. It's just the plug is a little bit different to the picture on the power supply. But I take it that 1 and 2 will be the ones with the black going to it. Then yellow and orange 5 and 12, and then the blue and the green's going to be -5 and 12. So yeah, so that looks all good. So I will put the multimeter into a set of these just to see if we can pick up any voltages that are going to come out. Go down there. I'm picking that when we plug it in is going to give us our, make sure it's not going to short on anything, is going to give us our 12 volts out, or 5 volts out, whichever way around that is. The holes are a little bit smaller than normal, but that should be alright. So I'll just plug all this in and I'll put the other camera on so you can see the light bulb, and we'll see how we go. Right guys, so we're all ready to go. This is a bit weird. I would have thought it had been earthed all the way through, and it's not. It runs a common ground to the board. So it's not a ground as such, it's a ground on the low voltage side. So that comes out on 2 wires and goes to the plug, so it doesn't actually ground to the case. Interesting. Anyway, it must have been the way they did it back then. So I've had to put something in here and put my earth on here for me multimeter. So that's all done. So both the grounds go to the same place, and I can get a connection to each of these connectors if I go into them, and on continuity, so that should all be fine. Plugged in, I have the light bulb over the back here, you can see on the left hand side. I'll put that into on, and we'll turn the power on. Now if there's a problem with this, that will go bright and stay bright. It just takes the current away so it doesn't blow a fuse or anything. Alright guys, so I'm ready to go. Don't panic if I jump and it goes bang. Okay, got it all set up, and turn the power on here to save me having to bend over and turn that one on. I'll turn this on now, so just watch the light bulb over the left over there, and we'll see what happens. Okay, so nothing's come up, so there's no PFC or anything in that, and I am reading a voltage on here. Yep, pluses and minuses, -5 volts. So it looks like our fault was the bridge rectifier. That was the fault, and that one side of this is gone, and that caused an issue with it blowing fuses. So as you see, it hasn't blown the fuse. I am getting the voltages out of this, so I'm getting me 5s and 12s. You can see the voltages slowly bleeding off there because the power's been turned off. Yeah, negative voltages all gone. It's just the positive voltages are slowly dropping. Yep. So this is all fixed. So I'll be able to take this back to the chappie in a couple of weeks when I head down south for my daughter's birthday. And I meet up with him, and I can drop it into him all ready to go, and he can plug it into his Apple IIe, and it'll be running fine. Now we do know his Apple IIe is fine because he has tried a PC power supply on it with an adapted plug, and it works fine. So we knew it wasn't the main machine, it had to be the power supply. So that's all done, so that's all good. And as I say, hopefully he'll be happy with this. I will let him know when this is going up online so he can have a look and see. And I'll take him back all his extra bits and pieces, and if he wishes to keep them, he can. If he doesn't want to keep them, then all well and good. I can find a home for them to go into something else next time. So I think this will be fine. These don't need to be 1,000 volts, because it's only 240 up to 320 volts maximum, unless you get a power surge or something coming in. That's going to go through these in our country, because we're 220 to 240 volts here, AC. These must have been what they had at the time, and being made in America, they probably made them so the current was the main thing, the 2 amp side of it. So these were probably the cheapest they got, being at 1,000 volts at the time. Pop them all in. I was going to put in a 600 volt regulator anyway, but no need to. Those 3 amp diodes I put in, they're all 600 volt anyway. So you got 1200 volts across the mains, so it's more than enough. I probably could have gone down to the 300 volt ones, but it's fine. Those will do the job fine for now, forever and a day. Alrighty, so that's us done and dusted with that one. And I'll just turn this other camera off, and we can carry on. Alright, I'll see you soon. So guys, there you go. Some things aren't that hard to do, and it looked like somebody had partially gone to repair that, pulled out the reefers and put in some polymer caps, or some later versions of reefers in there, and that part was already done, because that's a main fault with the old Apple IIe power supplies. It was funny that something had happened to the regulator. Maybe it got stressed or something, and that's what caused it to go on one side. But anyway, that's all up and working fine. So there we go. Nice little easy afternoon project. Anyway, on another good note, some packages turned up at the door. Shall we have a look at what we got? So a whole pile of bits have come in from AliExpress for me. I've got some ICs and stuff that have come in I've been waiting on. And these are those weird diodes that the MSX runs. So I've got some of those, but as we found out, a 13 volt Zener does the same job as these 2.6 volt ones do, but I do have them now. And the next one is the video RAM, I think this stuff is. I'll put my eyes on. God, I hate it. The writing is getting so small on these things these days. It's getting harder and harder to see what they are. Yep, 4-bit by 16. So as I said, I got a lot of these. So they only generally use 2, but the way things are going nowadays, either some will be faulty, they'll all be faulty, or they'll all be good, and the stuff's getting harder to get. So whatever I've got as extras will go into my drawers. And we've got some Z80 processors. Now there's a couple of places on AliExpress that's doing up to the 20 megahertz chips. You can downclock these. The Z80s, you can downclock them to slower. So when I generally grab them, I'll grab the 8 megahertz and the 20s. Then it's not such a big step to downclock the 8s to a slower 3 megahertz or 4 megahertz. The 20s are there if you want to play around and make your own Z80 boards and that sort of thing, which I did start doing, and I must get on to that project and finish it. I've got the main processor and RAM board done. I just haven't done the BIOS. The chip is on there, but I just haven't done all the glue logic to go on with that. But that's running in a Z8S 180, which can actually address more RAM than the Z80, but is completely backwards compatible. So, but these are the video processors. Another thing too, these aren't too bad, but the thing is, you've got to remember is that this stuff's not made anymore, so it's getting harder and harder to get. So I'll grab some of these. What I'll do is I will check them, make sure they all work, and if they all work, they'll go into stock. If they don't all work, I'll send a complaint and get my money back. For the price of them, they should be okay. They run at about the normal average price. The next lot of stuff we've got is ROMs, 27C256s. Can never be without those. A lot of the old 8-bit machines run up to that size in ROM, and some of those are backwards compatible to the smaller ones. You just don't connect some of the pins. And the last packet, these are the RAM chips. These are the 1-bit by 64s that they run, and I got a couple of sets of those, so I've got spares of those. I used one set that I had. Right, so that's what we've got. There's a couple of boxes, as I said. Now, as you can see, one here. I do have 3D printers, and I picked up a Adventure 3 enclosed printer because I wanted it for doing nylons and ABS and stuff like that, high temperature stuff, because my Ender 3 and my other printer I've got, I can't remember the name off the top of my head at the moment, they will do ABS, but they've got to have enclosures and that for it. Whereas the Adventure 3 I've got is a built-in enclosure with the vents and everything built into it. But it's only a small form factor, so it's only like 150mm square. Whereas my other, or less than that, it might be 140. But whereas my other ones are 240 square, so they're bigger. And then my biggest one I've got is me ANET A8 Plus, which is the aluminium framed one, which is 300 by 300, which I do have to do work on it. But the Adventure 3, I got it because the guy said it was faulty. I went through the company and they said, it's the heated bed, you need to get a new one, sent them through all the pictures, all this sort of carry on. Got one, paper one, put it in, same fault. They couldn't be bothered doing anything else for me. So the only other thing I could think of is it had to be the motherboard. So I saw on AliExpress they had some motherboards there for the Adventure 3 and the Adventure 3 Pro. Same boards will work on either, so I got the Pro board. This is about $20 dearer, but it'll work in the Adventure 3 anyway. And that's the board I got to replace in it, and I think that will fix my problem because it wasn't the ribbon cables or the heated bed. So that's the only other thing it can be. There's a fault on that board. So that was the end of that. And a few people have sort of said online the same thing, in that it's not the heated bed, even though they were told it was that. And the last thing I got for the bench is a bench power supply. Now this is a 30 volt plus and minus up to 10 amps. So that's what we've got. So that's going to be the next little thing I'm going to have a play with. And it's only because mine will only do up to 2 amps. And I was having issues with that over voltaging. And this has over voltage protection, constant current, constant voltage. So we can do all the settings and see how we go with it. We can do coarse, it'll do coarse and fine currents. It also has USB in it as well. So yeah, and it comes with all our leads and everything we need to go. Alright guys, so I will take this and we will sort it out and do a little bit of a review on it a wee bit later. Okay, so hopefully this is kept you entertained for another day, shall we say. And yeah, the next one will be back onto the 7282 put the video RAM in, and we'll see if this thing runs. And if it runs, put it all back together, make sure that those plugs we've put on are all working fine, and we get a video out on it. Hopefully nothing else has happened, and we can go from there. So, as I say, have a great day, have a great week, and until next time, ciao.